Hello there. Oof, it's been a while. And on the last day of the patch, just before we got devoured by Snezhnaya content, let's talk about Raiden. Right now, she is not in the best spot. Newer characters completely overshadowed her. They do more damage, they are easier to build and use, and they're just flashy, have new reactions or crazy movements. Raiden pales in comparison. Her kit design is pretty old, just skill, burst, have fun for 7 seconds, and then swap out. Additionally, you will get average damage and some energy refund to the team. This is not much, but it doesn't mean that she is bad or weak. I would say right now she is stronger than she ever was. And this is pretty much what I want to explore in this video. What happened to Raiden over the years and what she can offer to you right now. Also, I think it will be fun to make an update, a follow-up for this video after a couple of patches in Snezhnaya to compare what changed. And a quick disclaimer, I'm not a meta player and I'm not a tryhard. I want to give more casual perspective on a character from a player who very much enjoys combat in Genshin and enjoys doing endgame, but isn't pushing themselves to complete the hardest possible challenge. Now, let's return to Raiden and characters in general. If you like building and playing characters, you will end up doing endgame. This is the best playground to test your skills and unleash the full power of your beloved character. Developers know that, and they use the endgame as a promotional ground for new releases, balancing the content in the endgame around the power of the new characters. Which means that every character has a shelf life. After a while, the game will change so much that their skills will be just irrelevant. Here is my totally accurate visualization of the trend for Raiden. She had a good run for a couple of years and then kinda died in one version. Her downfall started with the release of Clarent, who was just stronger than her, and then Netlin happened. This nation introduced new mobs with tons of HP and very annoying mechanics for Raiden. After that, they released Varessa, who was even stronger than Clarent. And after that, they released Stygian Onslaught, the new endgame, which stabbed Raiden in the back with its no energy start. This wasn't enough, and Genshin released third on-field Electro DPS, Lens. After that, Raiden kind of flattened. Luckily, I got her during her prime and enjoyed her for the longest time. No, I got her in 4.3. Well, GG. Actually, I'm just kidding, it was the best time to get Raiden. Since then, she received tons of indirect buffs and team options, and I managed to get almost all of them. And what's interesting, I've never pulled specifically for Raiden, it happened naturally. If I look back on her performance on my account, it will be something like this. She started as okay because her build and team options weren't great, then reached her full potential, and then a little bit declined because she got competition. I just pulled more characters. There are several reasons for such an excellent performance. First being, Raiden is just fun to play. You do big slash and then chomp enemies with your normal attacks. Sound design and visual effects are excellent and it's just satisfying to play her. Plus, she can be knocked back in her burst, which means you can stay right on top of the enemy and hit it as much as you want, as long as you can tank hits. Raiden's next strength lies in her self-contained kit. It doesn't mean that she isn't benefiting from her teammates. This means she isn't crippled without specific character, resonance, or reaction, unlike some new characters. This leads to Raiden being extremely versatile, and being versatile means that you can take advantage of the new stuff. For example, this patch I was able to take Raiden to Stygian and Abyss despite unfavorable lineup. On top of being flexible, Raiden buffs her teammates. She increases burst damage and restores energy. Usually, this is enough to make a pretty cohesive team, where teammates help each other, and Raiden serves as a character who glues everything together. What about her downsides? Well, there are some. First, she is extremely burst reliant, so without energy everything kind of falls apart. Second thing, her skill doesn't proc against a lot of shields, meaning No energy, no energy, no burst, no burst. She isn't a character. And the third thing, which in my opinion is less important, is her damage. Her damage is pretty low and you have to take it into account during team building. Let's talk about it. When you center the team around Raiden, she is the main deal and other characters just support her. And damage will be distributed unevenly, with Raiden doing the major part of it and receiving the most buffs. But because Raiden's numbers are pretty low, total damage won't be impressive. Things change when you add strong off-fielders into the team, like Durin or Fischl. Now you have 3 characters that deal damage and 1 that buffs all of them, raising the total damage by a lot. This is the concept you want to keep in mind while building teams for Raiden. Use strong off-field damage dealers and characters that can buff both them and Raiden. Let's have a look how this works in practice. Here I am fighting the tripod from Natlan. This is a pretty tanky boss and I need all the damage I can deal, so I brought my best Raiden team with her, Durin, Nicole and Cherish. Damage of the team is split 50-50 between Raiden and Durin, who are eating all the buffs from Nicole and Cherish. The team is good enough to bypass the Night Soul mechanic that the boss requires and kill it in time. Here is another example. The Ball of Doom isn't as tanky, but has an annoying gimmick. To deal with the mechanic, I swapped Cherish for Nahida. The team's damage is now gutted, but because I can deal with the mechanic almost instantly, it doesn't really matter. I have time to win the fight comfortably. And speaking of suboptimal, when you can take advantage of the buffs and enemies' mechanics, you can use very, let's say, unfortunate teams and still clear. This abyss in particular isn't great for Raiden, but she can take advantage of the lunar charge buff on the second side and use Columbina to deal with the mechanics. Columbina deals as much damage as Raiden in this team, and other slots are reserved to make it happen. Yahoda is needed for the Notcry resonance to deal with Wild Hunt and activate the damage set on Columbina, and Yansan helps with Raiden's energy and provides her a damage bonus and an attack buff. This team isn't strong and it's a little bit clunky to use, mainly because of Yahoda and her skill. Like, she's very strange and cringe and awkward to pilot, especially when she starts running around like a chicken and you can't cancel her skill for some reason because the inputs are not working. But it works. It's good enough to give a full clear in Abyss without going bald or resetting 1000 times, and this is an important thing. Overall, Raiden works with a lot of characters and you can do pretty wacky stuff to have fun or to adjust your teams to the current content. I've tried to make a list of characters who can work with Raiden better than the other ones, and this is it. I've put them into 3 categories: off-field damage dealers, supports, and potential people. The most impactful characters in damage dealers, I would say, are Durin and Fischl. They provide very strong damage and buffs, and they are Pyro and Electro. And these are the elements to make an overload core for the strongest teams for Electro characters right now. Another character who surprised me is Columbina. She basically is an upgrade to the Taser teams with Yelan and Furina. She's just stronger and she works even on her own. Without Nefer or Yahoda, you will be fine. In supports category, the crown belongs to Chevres. She enables overload team by herself, and her constellations just make the team even stronger. Bennett is as strong as always, but he will generally buff only Raiden, so Nicole, if you have her, is better when you're playing attack scaling off-fielders. Yansan can be a good option too, especially because of the Cinder City, so she can buff another element. Kazuha and Shilonin are generalists as always, and last three are very situational. Prune is good when you need a hex resonance, Auroron if you are playing Taser, and Yahoda if you have no one else to activate Note Cry resonance. Oh yeah, and there's an original one, Sarah. Unfortunately, I don't have her constellations, and without them, she's so unpleasant to use, so I don't play her at all, and can't say much about her. And there is maybe category. Tomorrow we will get Odette, Alyosha, and Cryo Traveler. All of them and Miko are participating in new stellar conduct reaction. Maybe Raiden can use it, maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't know. I will get Odette and test it. So right now can't say anything about them too. To sum up this section, Raiden right now has very strong teams that are much better than she had before. Are they crazy strong? No. Can they clear fearless difficulty in Stygian Onslaught? No. But she has options to deal with anything else, and this is good enough for me. Will she be able to do it in the future? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I do believe. So, where is Raiden's place on players' accounts? I think it very much depends on how old your account is. If you have Raiden for the longest time, you probably have all the pieces of the puzzle to make her work in most situations. If you have a relatively old account who just pulled Raiden, and by relatively old I mean more than a year, so you have a lot of resources and build the majority of the characters you wanted to build. In this case, you should have enough materials and characters to build a team for her and use it right away. And if you're a new player with a young and fresh account just from the oven and you pulled Raiden, well, don't chase old stuff. Let me tell you a story about my experience in this case. When I got Raiden, who was my first limited 5-star character, I was told that the strongest team for her and the most free-to-play accessible is Rational, the team you can see on the screen right now. And I directly targeted this team. I pulled characters, I bought them from the shop, I geared them to make it work. And I obtained all the stuff that I wanted after around 9 months into the game. By this time, I got everything I needed to make a comfortable and nice to play Overload team, and I've never returned to Rational ever again. What's the case right now? Everyone will be recommending, oh, these Overload teams with Chevreuse are so good for Raiden, and yes, they are so good, but how will you get Chevreuse? She's not on banners. If you are not lucky to get her on a standard banner, it is possible you will never get her, even a single copy. I'm not talking about constellations. And when we talk about 5 stars, you should pull them only if you like them and you will use them with someone else. What I mean by this? You can watch this video and decide, oh, I guess Nicole and Durin work perfectly for Raiden, I will pull them just for her. Okay, you will pull them, you will spend your Primogems, and the next patch, let's say Tsaritsa will release, and she will be the best in slot for everyone, including Raiden. Now you will have a new team that is not connected to your Nicole and Durin, and will you use them if you are not using them for Raiden anymore? If not, this wasn't a good decision. And this is my advice for new Raiden players. Don't follow the currently recommended stuff. By the time you will have a chance to obtain everything, it is possible she will get something else. Take advantage of her flexibility and use her with the things you already have an account or you're planning to get. And she won't disappoint you, I'm sure. She's fun to play, she's pretty, and she's the best girl. Oh yeah, and don't forget to fish for the catch, because fishing is so fun and rewarding. It is not. Oh my god, it's not. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.